Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here. Welcome to
Hey, Kermit, I got some great new pirate jokes for the game.
Well, not now, Fozzie. You see,
Wait, did you hear the one about the pirate who kept falling down? They called him Black and Bluebeard. Ah, waka waka.
Any more jokes like that, Fozzie, and you'll waka waka the plank.
Hey, that's funny. Can I use that?
Sure, but first you have to take your place in Bristol, please?
No.
Yeah, go ahead, right back to the door. Yep.
Muppets. I love Muppets, and I grew up with the two greatest Muppet movies of all time, The Muppet Christmas Carol starring Michael Caine, and Muppet Treasure Island starring Tim Curry. Honestly, they are some of my favourite films, and I still to this day watch them all the time. They are great movies, and if you haven't seen them, you should. Treasure Island itself was released in 1996. It was based on the 1883 novel by Robert Louis Stevenson. The story followed Jim Hawkins and is about pirates, treasure, and it is one of the biggest adventure novels ever written. The Muppets took the story and shoved the main Muppet cast into most of the roles in the story, and then added Tim Curry as Long John Silver and Kevin Bishop in his debut film role as Jim Hawkins. Much like any Muppet project, it blends the actual story with zany Muppet shenanigans, as well as highly catchy songs. Heck, it even starts with Billy Connolly as Billy Bones. Did you know, though, that in the same year, 1996, Activision actually released a tie-in game loosely following the story of the film? I know I didn't know this. It turns us, the player, into Jim Hawkins. Gonzo and Rizzo will still be running around after us, as well as having a pirate named Stevenson, who isn't in the movie himself. Stevenson is your guide for the game, giving hints and hiding the menu within him. Yes, if you double-click on the bird, he will open his wing and you will get a menu. All the Muppets, Billy Connolly and Tim Curry are FMV'd into the game. Whilst the game world is 2D and beautifully drawn, the characters are all filmed and thrown into the game, which makes it even more fun to watch. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Annakuma, and today I'm going to live my best pirate life as we dive deep into the Muppet Treasure Island point-and-click adventure game. My specialty subject and my passion subject, point-and-clicks and Muppets. Also pirates. I've talked before that my city loves pirates. Also, fun fact is that Tim currently apparently spent some of his childhood in my hometown as well. Just full of fun facts here. Not for much longer, but at least for a bit. That being said, we will be taking over Hawkins, visiting Bristol, setting sail on the high seas, landing on Treasure Island, and hopefully, maybe, get to sing with Tim Curry. That would be great. So let's get Muppety. Much like most Muppet media, the game is very self-aware. You start off with the characters running around backstage, getting ready for the movie, and you are told that you will be the new Hawkins. The menu page is basically the backstage area to remind you that you are joining a film, and I genuinely like that. As I said, it is very on brand for the Muppets to be self-aware of them being in media. In fact, listen to this background music for the start screen. It is great at building drama for the adventure at hand. Now, if I had to compare this game to anything, it would be the old activity pack games you'd get. Your story is told in 4 different sections. Each has a bunch of mini-games, random things to interact with, and small bits of story to tell. It is a very simple game, and that starts with the start menu itself. You have your start button, load and save, as well as the ability to jump to any of the 4 sections the game has to offer. The tavern at the beginning, Bristol City, the ship, and the island itself. Stevenson will give you the lowdown on the menu, but I'm going straight for the game. It starts much like the film does, or I guess much where the story of the film starts. Sadly, I'll spoil it now, the game doesn't have any of the songs, but it does have the songs as background music. I wouldn't be able to share those moments anyway, but it makes the game even shorter because it just doesn't have any of those moments, and there are a bunch of great musical numbers in the film that you can see. There is just no scenes from the film in the game at all. It's its own thing in some ways. But, that being said, we do start with Billy Bones, played by Billy Connolly, giving his famous speech at the beginning.
I was Flint's first mate that voyage. 3 days east of Tortola in the Caribbean. Flint knew an island. That's where we buried the treasure. Gold and blood, they were Flint's trademarks. He'd leave both behind him that day. And no one knows to this day what happened to the treasure, or the treasure map. Maybe you'll find them, eh, Hawkins? Hawkins?
Tell us another adventure, Mr. Bones. My favorite's the story about the one-legged man.
Ah, the one-legged man. I told you never to mention that cursed beast. Now get back there and finish brewing my stew. I feel the horrors coming on. Be
The
gone!
horrors. Oh, I think I'll be going now. Oh.
Billy will wander off after being given the black spot, and we're finally in the game proper. So how does it play? Well, extremely simplistically, as you can imagine. Each area we visit is made of only a handful of screens. You have a nice big cursor, and putting the cursor over anything interactable will highlight that item. Most items in the game are often extremely big. The hitboxes are massive, you can't miss them. Much like Pajama Sam, which I love to bring up apparently in every video now, when you click on things, even if it isn't important to the game, it'll end up with some kind of interactable moment for you. This could be something just random Muppety happening in the background.
I know you're in there, Billy. I can smell your breath way out here.
Or things like the plates in the kitchen being thrown around. You'll have to click on everything as well. One of the main objectives of the game is to find these random stones. I found the first by just touching this stove, and you get them randomly throughout the game. There are 4, and they are basically the 4 points of a compass. What these games do is teach the young audience to interact with everything they can. No matter whether it is what they need to interact with, or just something they find funny, they'll be rewarded in doing so. It is a great way to get kids into the point-and-click mindset, where in about this era of gaming, pixel hunting had only just started to die out with the games. They were trying their best to make hotspots and interactable items much easier to see in the mainstream point-and-click genre, but it hadn't fully died out yet. Muppet Treasure Island lands somewhere between Pajama Sam and its whimsical animated randomness and Passport to Peril, with often Pink just telling you to look in your PDA for a Wikipedia article to read. For kids, it'll be fun watching the Muppets randomly pop up, do something silly, then disappear again, and in some ways, it will make the game last all that much longer as they constantly click on spots that make them laugh. Whilst I keep saying the game is a point-and-click game, it also really isn't. I mean, there is lots of pointing and clicking, but the game doesn't really have an inventory or puzzles. Any item you do pick up, and there aren't that many that you will pick up, will be given to Stevenson automatically, who will then just throw the items at you when you need them. Much like this key, you'll find it hanging outside and Stevenson will take it from you. Then, when you need to use it on this chest, he'll throw it on the floor for you to interact with. I honestly think that is fine. The game just wants to tell you the briefest of outlines of what the film is going for, and it doesn't need to be bogged down in actual gameplay mechanics. Again, it is much more akin to the activity packs that Disney especially love to bring out in this time period, with you interacting with the world in between some short mini-games. It is, after all, a tie-in to a film. I guess the whole point of it was to sell the film. Then again, other than to have the funny little moments with the Muppets themselves, often you aren't pointing and clicking either. More often you'll be pointing and grabbing. For example, again, to open this chest, you have to grab the key from the floor and drag it to the lock. Then, to empty the chest itself, you have to grab the items and throw them out of the chest. There is a lot of dragging things around the screen, which I think works for a kid's game. It is much more interactable and makes the actions much more like an action than they would if you were just clicking around on everything. Last but not least, let's talk about Stevenson himself, named after the author of the book. I don't know why, but I didn't like that you had to click once for a hint, then click him twice for the menu. For kids, they are more likely to want the hint, so clicking once makes sense, and this is a game aimed at small kids in the 90s. With a modern 2026 brain, I want to left and right click on something, but honestly, this is good for what it was. Stevenson's menu system is inside his wing, which is a pretty cool look for the menu, to be honest. And it just lets you save the game, load it, leave, or look at what you currently got in your inventory. It takes over the entire screen as well, so it's nice and big for people to work with. A very well-made menu system. Stevenson isn't annoying either. He is a big hotspot in the screen at all points in the game, but he doesn't annoy you. He doesn't give you hints unless asked, and everything is so big and chunky that you aren't going to have Stevenson in the way of any other hotspot. He's always perfectly placed to be out of the way of the rest of the adventure, but easy enough to spot for kids that need him. I've also basically taken you through the first area. It is the smallest by far, and there to get you ready for these controls. There is no minigame, only the chess puzzle. It has the smallest amount of screens, you barely see Connolly walking around, and then you'll jump out of the window to get away from this bomb and the pirates that are after the treasure map you took from the chest. Jumping out of the window lands you in the vegetable wagon. The driver will leave because he doesn't want anything to do with this, then Rizzle will fall and splash you with molasses. This stops them having to add a bottom half to Gonzo as he falls down, but also stops them having to animate any kind of moving scene either. You'll spend a few minutes with molasses on your face as Rizzle sings to you.
99 pieces of cheese on the wall, 99 pieces of cheese. Take one down, pass it around, 98 pieces of cheese on the wall. Oh, 98 pieces of cheese on the wall, 98 pieces of cheese. Take one down, let it turn brown, 97 pieces of cheese on the wall. 97 pieces of cheese on the wall, 97 pieces of cheese. Take one down. One piece of cheese on the wall, one piece of cheese. Take it down, look all around. Now we're in Bristol town.
When you arrive in Bristol, you'll be given a sponge to wipe the screen clean, which I think is a really fun way of doing it. Then you get a first look at the first big area. Bristol is very nicely organized. You have the main square that you can circle around in. There are 4 areas to go to, 2 with minigames and 2 with story. Each area has a signpost that pops up when you hover over the hotspot to leave the screen, letting you know what you can find in the direction you are going. I kind of did this out of order, or at least out of order of what the game wanted. I didn't want to go to the docks because Gonzo and Rizzo had told me to go to the docks, so I didn't want to miss anything outside of the docks. That meant that I missed some dialogue to be told what I need to do here to get on the ship anyway. Because what you need to do is go talk to Fozzie Bear, who is in this house. He plays Squire Trelawney, the person who will give you a ship to go sailing. Sam, who plays Mr. Arrow, is in front of the ship, stopping you from entering until you have the seal from the Squire. So what else do you have to do? Personally, I ended up going first to the costume shop. There is a bunch of outfits that you can buy, but to buy it, you have to play a game. The shopkeeper tells you that he's losing business because of pirates, so you have this crossbow to keep the pirates out. You load it with pies, because obviously not arrows in this game, it's for kids, so it's gotta be funny. And when you see the pirates coming, you'll shoot them with the pies. You'll have to grab and drag the pies into the crossbow and time the shot correctly. You get 1 doubloon for every correct hit and lose 1 if you hit someone innocent. If you are struggling with the timing, then the pirates and the normal customers have different music to help you. They sound like this.
Take that!
When you've got enough doubloons, you can buy an outfit. I originally went with the superhero outfit because I didn't really like any of them. This is also the only time you'll see your body, as it changes outfits in the mirror. We have no face, but it is nice that we get to see us trying on the clothes. Next up, I went to the spyglass. To get in, you'll have to pair up the eye patch at the door with the outfit that you are wearing. This is a nice way to block you off and make you do the costume game first. When inside, Dr. Teeth is on the organ playing some music. If you join him, he leaves you to do it as he doesn't want to play anymore, and you get a Simon Says minigame with the organ. Now, this is really, really simple. You press the buttons above the keys to start the Simon Says part. The first few buttons will only have you tapping 2 buttons, and it only gets to about 4 or 5 by the end of it. If you don't get it right, it just makes you do it again. It doesn't restart the section or anything. You just have to keep redoing it until you get it right. When you do it correctly, a Muppet will come up, give you some money, and then you'll get a full song.
Care to play a friendly game, mate? Here's some booty for your kitty. Woohoo!
One reason to make sure you are doing all of them is because I randomly got a stone from doing it. In a way, I don't actually like that though, because if someone doesn't like the Simon Says minigame, they aren't necessarily going to play through it. Also, I then went back to the costume shop to make sure that I didn't have to play that for longer either. It's not a good way of putting the stones in. I think clicking around was the better option for that, but that's just me. Again, it doesn't make it feel obvious that you need to play the organ to get a stone, and maybe you don't. Maybe you will get them randomly in other places if you don't get the stone. I haven't checked that out, because I'm a bad game reviewer. That being said, you can just go back to different levels as well by pressing on Stevenson. He has the 4 screens in his menu, and you can just skip back and forth between the areas. Also, you can change the sound of the organ. There are quite a few options, and whilst the Simon Says part of the game does use the sounds, sadly the songs are still the same, which is fair. There are a few different instruments, and redoing the songs in everything from duck to mouth must be hard to do, so I don't blame them for that, but I was kind of sad because I wanted to hear the songs in duck. Now, as I said, I went back to do the costume stuff again because I was worried I was going to miss out on the stone, and in doing so I ended up buying myself a clown costume. I think you're meant to go to the house dressed as a clown for the squire to accept you, but he basically only needs to see the map, so whether you need to or not, again, a better reviewer would have gone and checked it. I didn't. But you just give him the map, and then he gives you the seal of approval, and this very funny joke.
Here's the official Trelawney seal of passage. Show it to Mr. Arrow, and he'll let you board the Hispaniola. Okay? Oops, wrong seal. Ah, here we are. There you go.
Fozzie has always been my favorite Muppet. You might be able to guess we have a few things in common, like being bears and very funny, but just look at how majestic he looks here. How can anyone not say he's the absolute best Muppet? I for sure don't want to hear any complaints or who your favorite Muppet is in the comments below. If it isn't Fozzie, it better be good. With the seal in our possession though, we can head back to the docks where Mr. Arrow will allow us on board the Hispaniola. Before we enter though, we do get to meet Kermit properly. He is playing Captain Abraham Smollett, and he'll welcome you on board. When you get on board, he will then tell you that you have to prove that you're seaworthy, which is wild because we're already at sea, and what is he gonna do if I'm not seaworthy? Is he just gonna chuck me overboard? We could give him 5 steps to prove ourselves. Learn how to anchor the ship, fill up the jolly boat, fire a cannon, build our own ship, and lastly, help Long John Silver in the gully make some food. If you forget what you are doing, which you won't because the game is very small, and as long as you click around you'll find everything you need to do, they even give you this handy sheet on the mast that you can click on and get Kermit telling you exactly what each task is once more. Now, I'm saying you won't forget, but let's not forget that this is a game aimed at kids, so whether or not I personally think no one of any age could get lost with this, it is still a nice touch to keep kids mindful of the tasks they have at hand and what they haven't done yet. Especially, I guess, because Kermit does just pop up in some of these and tell you you're done, so you might do something and think you've done it and then realize you haven't done it because of this list, so maybe it is a good thing. I just personally kept doing things until I knew I'd definitely done them, and I'm lucky because sometimes it takes a while. Personally, I just kind of went to the left, I just circled around on the left, leaving everything on the main screen till last. Our first screen is empty, but Gonzo does tell us that Long John has had an idea for the Jolly Boat. Most of the screens have a number of things to touch, as always, and you'll also get to hear Tim Curry laughing before you get to see him if you don't head to the gully first, which was why I left that screen till last, because I know Long John's down the bottom, and I just didn't want to see him till last. Or I did want to see him till last, even. There is a lot of back and forth between Kermit and Fozzie, as Kermit gives you some information about different things on the ship, and Fozzie makes a joke about it. A nice way to give some education on sailing, whilst intertwining it with the Muppet humour everyone wants to see. Going from the left, the first minigame I got is the anchor. If you can call it a minigame, that is, it really isn't. You'll have this moment where the squire makes a joke about the weight of the anchor after we're told to weigh anchor, and then we're left to just press the button to drop it and raise it again. Kermit will tell us we've done a good job and then wander off. Easy enough. Next, though, I get the cannon, and whilst it is very simple and is basically the same as the crossbow in the store, this time there is some timing to it. You have to hit things that are moving in front of the ship a few times before Smollett will come and say you're done. You load up random items into the cannon, and you can move the cannon to the left, right, and back to the center. It also has a fuse, so when you press to fire, it does take a few seconds to actually fire, and the timing can feel a little tight sometimes. But it is nothing that can't be done in a few minutes. You just kind of need to remember the fuse countdown, honestly. As long as you remember that, you'll be fine. So, onto the Jolly Boat, and you remember Gonzo saying that Long John had an idea for this? Well, that idea was using Gonzo's nose, because we need a joke about his nose. He'll be swung around to the top of the screen, and you have to pick up the buckets and drop them on his nose so he can load the boat. Again, nothing hard here, but it is kind of fun listening to Gonzo's voiced lines.
I've heard of keeping one's nose to the grindstone, but this is ridiculous.
It was a great use of Gonzo and his nose. Now, back to this screen. On top, you can go to the captain's room, or you can go to the gully in Long John Silver. Obviously, I want to leave Tim Curry till last, so we'll head to Smollett's room, where you can hear him talking to Mr. Arrow.
I'd like to know one thing, Mr. Arrow.
Yes, sir.
Who hired this crew? This is without a doubt the seediest lot of cutthroats, villains, and scoundrels I have ever seen.
I will uncover the responsible party, Captain, and believe me, that party will take 40 lashes and walk the plank.
No, Mr. Arrow.
How about 1 lash and we make him walk the plank 40 times?
No lashes and no planks.
Aye, aye, sir. How about a stern talking to and a couple of shame on yous?
That's more like it. Good day, Mr. Arrow.
Good day.
After that, you can snoop around, which includes learning about Benjamina here, but you are mainly here to build a ship. Or, in other words, you'll be putting together a model of the Hispaniola. Every time you piece something together, Smollett will chime in with some information on the various parts of the ship, which is super cool. It's a little long-winded as it goes through quite a few bits of the ship, divided into the back, front, middle, and the masts. You'll have a few bits to each section to put together, and Squire sometimes pipes in with a joke too, but yeah, Pink Panther Passport to Peril, eat your heart out. This is how you really do edutainment. In fact, this game also came out in 1996. That is the same year as Passport to Peril and the first Pajama Sam game, meaning that Passport to Peril was double-teamed into edutainment hell by a little blue boy and a bunch of Muppets. Then again, they did also call the Union Jack the flag of England, which it isn't, so I guess they failed there. Don't worry though, now we're heading down to see the man of the hour, Long John Silver.
Hey, Gonzo, that's the guy Billy Bones warned us about. He's got 1 leg.
So what? So do I.
Yeah, but you got another one next to it.
Ah.
You must be Hawkins. Long John Silver's my name. I'm making an apple dumpling and could use your help filling the pot with apples. You're a fine sort helping old Long John feed his crew. Give the dinner bell a ring when you're done.
So, I'm not gonna lie to you, this game is really short, as I keep saying, so there isn't really much of Tim Curry to see. It isn't a negative, they do have some unique scenes to the game, and I can imagine they just filmed something whilst on set, or something for the game very quickly. As always, when he's on screen, he steals the show, because it is Tim Curry. But if you were playing for a lot of him, then you aren't gonna get it here. We're already well past the halfway point now to this game, so like, yeah, imagine, he's not in it much. He'll tell you to fill up the apple pie in the middle of the table. Apples will roll out in front of you, and you can fill up the pie. Just Rizzo will pop up and eat an apple once or twice. It gets a little annoying, and it needs a bunch of apples. But when you are done, well, you're done.
Oh, you're a fine sort, Hawkins. Smart as paint, I can see. Let me go tell the crew the pie's on its way. See you in a bit.
Yeah, you can tell I didn't like that minigame much. It just seemed to go on forever. Also, if you accidentally eat that pie, you have to redo it, and that's just even longer. There's also this barrel on the side that you can get in, then press the bottom panel, and random scenes will play out in front of you. To be very fair though, there isn't anything to really see right now. The barrel comes back in a minute. With all your tasks done, you'll go into a nighttime scene. Smollett wants to show you the stars, but Long John shows up saying that he wants to do it, and we get one of the most beautiful moments in the game, and I'm so happy that we kind of have that moment with Tim Curry talking to us. It really felt like a dad talking to his son and telling silly stories about the stars. Now, I'm gonna admit, I've never read the book. I'm not a fan of adventure, or I wasn't a fan of adventure books like this when I was a kid. I am now, but I still haven't read that one. But in the film, one of the ways that Long John kind of gets his own way is by taking Jim under his wing. I guess mainly because he was the only other human on board, but they don't really say that. I guess it is in the book, probably. I don't know. I'd have to read the book. I'm not reading the book for a retrospective. Don't make me read a book. I'm already reading a book. I'm reading Pyramids again. But yeah, this is just a wonderful moment that kind of harks back to the film and how Long John treated Jim in the film. So it's just a nice moment. Again, though, it is edutainment to a point. It teaches you about constellations and some small stories about what the constellations are about. Not just that, it looks so good with the wonderful Muppet-style drawings that you create in the sky, because you aren't just looking in the sky, you have to put the constellations together by clicking on the right stars, and then boom, Muppets in the stars. I really love this scene, and I do love the nighttime ambience as well. It was one of my favorite scenes in the game. What is it with games and nighttime scenes in 1996 that just make me fall in love with them? Seriously, I love this. This was a tying game for a movie. It isn't long, but the amount of small details they added proved that people working on it weren't just making a quick game to cash in on the film or promote it. They made something that would be super interesting to their audience and enhance the film experience itself. You get not only to be part of the story as far as the story is being told, because it isn't really being told, but you get all these fun games, lots of unique dialogue, and wonderful sights like Muppets in the Stars. It just surprises me how beautiful this scene was. With all this done though, we're put to bed. In the barrel. Yeah, we're sleeping in barrels. Then we get this really cute goodnight scene with the lads.
Good night, Hawkins. Good night, Rizzo.
Good night, Gonzo. Good night, Hawkins. Good night, Stevenson.
When we wake in the morning, no one knows we're in the barrels, so we overhear Long John and the other pirates planning a mutiny. They want to take the treasure and the ship for themselves, but they aren't planning on acting right away, so when they leave, we rush to tell Captain Smollett. With this knowledge in his hand, Smollett decides to keep going to Treasure Island anyway, and puts us at the head of the helm, which activates another fun little minigame. Smollett will explain port and starboard to you. The wheel itself will have a P and an S on it, so you will always be able to visually see which is which, and then it is up to you to move the wheel in whichever direction Smollett tells you to go. I say that it is fun, but it is pretty slow and drags on, but for a kid it will just be exciting. It reminds me of a bit from the second Pajama Sam game, I think, where you're going down a ski slope. It isn't hard to do, just a little on the long side. When we reach the island, Long John will ask us to help him grab his walking stick as he sits in the jolly boat, and basically you get kidnapped and taken on shore, which is basically also what happens in the movie as well.
Grab 'em, boys!
Gotcha. You're coming with us.
That being said, again, this is a very abridged version of the story, only really here to give you some moments from the film. Silly skits with the Muppets and mini-games. So when you get to the shore, you will already have gotten away from the pirates, and Gonzo and Rizzo decided to distract the pirates and run off. Clicking on items will give you the final 2 stones, as well as some fun moments seeing the pirates wandering around trying to find you, as well as the pigs. Yeah, the pigs. There is also a bottle on the floor, which will be Captain Flint reminding you of the stones, and that is because the second of the screens you'll have to navigate is this one. In the middle is a puzzle, and you can't complete it till you have all 4 stones. It also has this warning at the end of it.
Beware the one-legged man. Silver and gold don't mix. Fergus.
When you do have all the stones, though, you can break into this cave. You'll have 2 puzzles here. The first is extremely simple, and I use that word a lot in this game because it is just simple. The stones are the 4 points of a compass, and you need to put them in the order they need to go. N for the north up top, S for south down bottom, and then W to the left and E to the right because it's west and east. This will then start up the shifting item puzzle. You'll need to get the 4 coins into the middle of the screen by moving each column or row. If you are used to puzzle games, this is a pretty simple version of this type of shifting screen game, but it could prove a little complicated for younger audiences. Just note that if you leave the cave for any reason, you'll have to redo all of this again from the beginning. Plus, it is very easy to accidentally click out of the puzzle and have to start from the beginning anyway. This is, I guess, because they don't expect you to leave the cave after entering it, but I did, because I didn't notice that I could continue to the right in the cave to a new area, and after realizing there was nothing outside other than a few more Muppet skits, I had to get back into the cave, and in my rush to do the very simple puzzles, kept accidentally restarting them by clicking on the sides and being thrown out of the puzzle. So yeah, just take it slow and don't leave the cave. I also played this game back in the heatwave in the UK during the middle of May. My 37-year-old brain was fried by the heat and by just purely turning 37 because, yeah, I'm a May baby. So the heatwave hit like a week after my birthday and I was old and frazzled. Fun times. Finally, you have found the treasure though. Sadly, Gonzo and Rizzo come running in, bringing with them other pirates.
Oh, it looks like our diversion's hit a dead end.
Did you have to say a dead end?
Wait, the treasure! We're rich, we're filthy rich! Hawkins, what luck!
Hi guys, funny bumping into you around riches.
And the best part is the pirates are nowhere to be found.
You and your big mouth.
Long John will then give you the honor of opening the chest just to find out that they are all empty. Thankfully, the game will open them all after the 3rd one because there are a lot of chests and it takes a while. With the pirates now sad and off to find the treasure, you can continue to the right of the screen where you'll get this really interesting puzzle. The bottom skull will say,
"Sticks and stones may break my bones."
And it is up to you to click on the skulls above it to make them say the same thing. It's a bit of a memory game, but a really well done one. I actually really love this puzzle way more than I probably should have. It's one of my favorite in the whole game. When you've done it correctly, then a secret entrance will open. So the Miss Piggy part of Treasure Island kind of gets completely ignored in the game, which I can understand. It doesn't really add anything. A lot of story was ignored because it wasn't really the point of the game to tell the story. Again, I keep saying this, but it is just a tie-in. This is about the only time you'll get to see anything of Miss Piggy or what she's up to, but first you need to find your way out of this room, which leads to another matchup game with a mirror. The shells on the left will show some kind of stone, and you have to match them with the shells on the right. When you've done all 4, or I guess found the diamond, which just so happened to be the final one for me, then it will open up the secret room, where Benjamin Gunn and Smollett are reunited.
Oh, Smalley, I could never stay angry with you. I always knew you'd come back to rescue me.
Well, speaking of rescue, Mina, I really need to go rescue my friends and crew.
The story of these two being that after being stood up for her wedding with Smollett, she ran off with Captain Flint, who himself abandoned her here on the island, but she, being a piggy of smart, stole all the treasure. Never cross Miss Piggy, she will steal your treasure. Now, we're basically at the end of the game, and you can feel it as well. We move the treasure from the cave purely by clicking on it, and it kind of just moves its own self out of the cave and onto the boat. Or next to the boat, I guess. We then follow it, just for us to have to save the treasure once more from pirates. This minigame then sees us with a coconut in our hand, hitting random pirates as they pop up from behind the treasure. You'll have to do this a few times like all the minigames, and again, there isn't really a fail state for this, so even if you are slow on a few of them, as long as you keep up, at some point you'll cross the threshold of pirates to knock out, and then win the game. Huzzah!
Excellent, Hawkins. It seems you've set a clear course for our journey home. The pirates are captured, we've got the treasure, and the wind is on the rise. Great job, sailor. Hoist the mainsail, check the rigging, untie the first mate. All hands on deck! Climb aboard when you're ready, my friend. We'll be waiting for you. Bye-bye, see you soon.
When you move all the gold onto the ship, you'll get your treasure, which is a few cutscenes from the film that you can now watch on the island. Of course, I can't put any of them on because it is a Disney film, and I'm not that stupid. I am stupid, but not that stupid. But it was nice to be able to relive some of the scenes from the film at the end of the game. A really nice way of getting people interested in the movie if they haven't seen it as well. Most of the good songs are in there, so make sure to click on them to hear the great Tim Curry singing, because why not? He's a fantastic singer. When you are done, you'll head to the boat where Long John says his goodbyes.
Ah, well done, Hawkins. It looks like a joke's on them. Ah!
Hey, mate. Ooh. Sorry for startling you. I couldn't let you go without saying goodbye. I reserved a little for myself, so don't you worry about me. But you found the real treasure here, mate. Your friends. Sail with good friends like these and you'll travel as far as your dreams can take you. So, say goodbye to your old friend, John. I have a feeling we'll be meeting again. See you, mate!
Welcome aboard, Cabin Mate Hawkins. That was some very unsafe activity out there. Good work.
Thank you, Mr. Arrow. And thanks to you too, Hawkins. Without you at the helm, we could have never made it this far. Now, raise the anchor and sound the cannon. Our voyage home has begun! Yay!
Congrats, you have finished the game. So why in 2026 am I telling you about a 1996 tie-in game to a 1996 Muppet movie retelling the adventures from the 1883 book by Robert Louis Stevenson? Well, viewers, it is purely because I am a millennial. Of course, I'm not saying that everyone from my generation has good taste, so some people might not care about the Muppets, let alone this classic film, but Muppet Treasure Island came out smack bang in the middle of my childhood, and still to this day rates as one of my all-time favorite films. It is a great adaptation of a classical novel and mixes Muppet humor, top-class acting, and musical numbers to be jealous of so well. I'm 37. I would have been 7 when this game came out. I would have been 7 when the film came out because they come out in the same year. And I didn't know till last year that there was even a tie-in game to the film. And if I don't know about it, then there must be other Muppet Treasure Island fans out there that don't know about this. My history with PC gaming is a very simple one, and I've mentioned it before. I live pretty close to a PC world. Even to this day, I still live not far from it. My mum, who is also a gamer, would go looking through the bargain bins to find games she thought everyone would like to play, and that is how I've become a massive point-and-click fan, because, let's face it, by 1996, they were in the bargain bins quite often. It wasn't just the point-and-clicks, though. The Disney activity packs are things I've adored my entire life, thanks to how many we had as kids. So whilst I have no nostalgia for this game in particular, it reminded me of the days I would come home from school to find my mum had picked up a bunch of cheap games that PC World couldn't sell because no one else wanted them. And no matter what they were, me and my sisters would play them for hours, because why not? Whether it was activity pack or some kind of educational thing. Heck, the reason I can touch type so well is I played the heck out of Mavis Beacon like it was a computer game and not a typing teacher. Whilst it sounds like I had a lot of games, we were dead poor growing up, so we just took anything we could and made it a game, and that is why I love just random games from the mid-90s on the PC. You can find some treasures in there. I really adore games like this, and I feel now in a world that is all about the best graphics ever, and where gaming is the biggest entertainment sector in the world, we just don't have things like this anymore, and it's a shame. Now, this Muppet Treasure Island game isn't a hidden gem, don't get me wrong. It is made for very young audiences, with the entire purpose of cashing in on the Muppet property, and the film that it's a tie-in to. But it is a really fun game to play, and as I only played it as a bear in the late 30s, it speaks volumes that it still works for adults. I have no nostalgia over this, so I enjoyed it as a 30-year-old. You aren't going to be challenged by the game at all. The only real challenge is some of the timing, but when you pick up the timing on the mini games, they are really simple. What you will do, though, is laugh a lot, because it's Muppets. The game is designed to be a Muppet game, so they add a lot of the Muppet humor, and whilst they couldn't do a whole ton of stuff, it still kind of worked. If you know the film, you'll recognize the cast of faces that basically walk around following you. You'll get a laugh from moments from the movie, or their own unique dialogue for the game. Everything is wacky and silly, which it has to be when the Muppets are involved. It is really short with 4 distinct areas: the Inn, Bristol City, the ship itself, and Treasure Island. You can visit any of these areas to play them on the main menu, and there is a save option with plenty of save files for you to fill up. Getting through the game will only take a short period of time, so multiple playthroughs wouldn't even be hard, but you aren't going to miss anything, because they don't fill up the world with secrets, and one playthrough, if you're careful enough and want to see everything, is going to be enough to see what it has to offer. Gameplay-wise, and I keep saying it, it's simple, it's bare bones, it's very, very basic. They have this lovely, nice, big cursor for you. The hotspots flash up the minute you hover over them, and are usually so large that you'll never miss them. There are like 1 or 2 inventory things you'll pick up in the game, but they are automatically given to you or used when needed, and again, they are massive and in your face, so you can't miss them. Minigames are fun and varied with lots of silly things you'll have to do. None of them are super important, but they do make the game's pace flow well. You are never too far away from doing something new and different, and nothing outstages welcome. And as I've said, it is aimed at small kids as well, so there really isn't a limit to any of these games. They can sit and play their favorite one for as long as they want, but you aren't forced to sit and play for ages if you don't like it. You'll need to do the one in the clothes shop long enough to get some money for a new outfit, and the ones in the ship you'll have to do until Kermit tells you that you're done, but it never takes too long to get to the end point, and then you can continue if you want, or you can move on to something new. All the Muppets and characters are F&B, even you have a body that you can see once in the game, but the world around you is beautifully drawn, it all fits together nicely, and it is all voice acted as well, and you get the real Muppet vibe to it because it's all the original actors. You get Tim Curry, you get Billy Connolly, you get the actual Kermit and the actual Fozzie. It's wonderful. You just listen to it and you feel like you're in the Muppets world. It doesn't really tell the story and rushes through the plot of the film, but you aren't really there to see the plot of the film. You're just kind of there to goof around, and they give you enough game, unique dialogue, scenes, and stupid things to do that even if you were expecting the story to be told in game form, you aren't really that bothered that it is... Sorry, I sneezed. That it isn't. That's what I was trying to say. You get to live in the Muppet world in one of the best Muppet films ever made, and that is pretty cool. If you are a fan of the film, then it's for sure worth finding a copy of it to play. It is abandonware again, so anywhere you find your abandonware, you are surely to find it. I love the game, I think it is super fun, and as it only takes an hour or 2 to get through, it is worth reliving this piece of hidden media connected to one of the greatest movies ever made, and starring one of the greatest actors the world will ever see. Kermit the Frog. Oh wait, no, Tim Curry. Or both. Don't forget Fozzie, though. That is all I have time for today, though. Thank you as always for watching. For some reason, I'm having a lot of fun going through kids' games this year, and I don't feel like stopping soon. Maybe I'll take a wider look at some activity packs or something sooner than later. Till then, if you want to follow what I'm doing and what I'm up to, the links to my socials, my Discord, my Patreon, and Twitch are all in the description below. You can see me firsthand, be bad at games. People seem to like that, so just join us if you want. Or at least they keep coming back to laugh at me, so you can join them in laughing at me. That's something they do. That's something they always do. They're just mean like that. They don't like the bear. They just like laughing at me. Till next time, though, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.